Welcome and thank you for downloading the Tailoring Talk podcast. I'm your host, Roberto Revilla. This is episode 16. It's the end of season 2. I don't know where that one went so fast, but it is a special one today. My guest is a Spanish native who eventually settled in London following a 5-year stint in Glasgow. She completed a master's in economics and went on to have a successful career in corporate finance, eventually moving into private real estate and family offices. Nearly 10 years ago, she became an entrepreneur, starting her own company that not only provides accounting services to startups and fellow risk takers, but also houses a custom clothing business under its umbrella. She was also an avid campaigner for the right to remain of British EU citizens post-Brexit and has appeared on national television both in the UK and Spain. I'm both honoured and excited to welcome Carolina Revilla to the show. Babe, sorry, keep it professional. I mean Carolina. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you very much for having me in the show today.
That's right, you're welcome. You're my wife, so it's going to happen eventually.
Yeah, okay.
You've been mentioned on practically every episode, but you know that because you have been listening to the show. So it's kind of rainy and there's a bit of thunder and lightning going on in London today. So just forgive me if you get any thunderclaps going on in the background. We were going to talk about Bailey, our working Cocker Spaniel, today, because it's the 4th anniversary since we found him all those years ago. So we should probably explain that we have got 4 animals in our family. We've got 2 cats and 2 dogs. The 4th dog is Bailey. Sorry, the 4th animal. Second dog is Bailey, who was not planned. But 4 years ago this month, we were on our way down to the south coast to River Cottage on a 4-day cookery course, something that we both like to do together. And it was very late on a Wednesday evening. We were on a motorway just outside of Yeovil. And I didn't actually spot him, you did. So I'm going to let you take over and tell us what happened.
Well, so we were on this road on the way to the cooking course. And as we're driving, I just spot this tiny little dog hopping on 3 legs next to the road. And I was like, oh my God, this dog is going to be run over. So I said to Bobby, I think we need to turn around and pick this dog up. So that's what we did. The poor dog looked exhausted and in a lot of pain. And we spent the rest of the evening trying to look for a vet that was open because it was already quite late and that would take Bailey. So that was a little bit of an adventure. So we had to detour, we bought some dog food, and eventually we managed to drop poor Bailey into the vets. On the next day, so we called to see how he was. And basically they found that he had a broken leg, like a really bad fracture. And nobody seemed to be claiming him, so
It wasn't only the broken leg, he was completely malnourished. So
yeah.
Just backtracking a little bit. So Carolina, as she just said, mentioned that she'd just spotted this brown dog hopping on 3 legs on the motorway verge. And there was literally no hard shoulder. It was just a grass verge and then a white line, and then you had the first lane of cars. So I said, right, we'll get down to the next junction, spin around, go back up, and then come back down again. And there was nowhere to pull over. I literally just had to block the near side lane with the car and then get out. And luckily we managed to get hold of him. He didn't really give any resistance or try and get away from us because he must have been so exhausted, the poor thing. But we didn't quite know what breed he was. He was just this really strange looking dog with a big head and massive paws, and he just looked so tired and exhausted. He was just cut up and scarred everywhere. He was bleeding on the side, and obviously he was in a lot of difficulty. By the way, as I'm telling this story now, I think he knows that we're talking about him, so he's really milking it. So we then managed to get him in the car, got to a petrol station. Because don't forget, we're in the middle of nowhere. This is not like London where you've got a vet every 5 minutes. I mean, this is out in the sticks. So we got to a petrol station, and you went in to go and try and see if they had some dog food and water.
Yeah.
And you kind of put him on the passenger seat. And while I was waiting for you, he just put his head on my lap and just let out a massive sigh of almost relief. Great, now we've got the two cats who've decided to join us and try and take chunks out of each other. So yeah, he let out this massive sigh of relief, and I didn't say anything to you when you got back to the car, but I kind of knew in that moment that if we couldn't trace his owners, that I was going to have to fight to get this dog taken care of. But anyway, the next problem, as you said, was trying to find a vet, and we eventually did find one who went and reopened his surgery for us to meet us there.
Yeah, it was really late. It was just us and him, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it wasn't that late. It was about 5:30 in the evening.
Yeah, but late for countryside.
For countryside, yeah, exactly.
Because everything was closed.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah.
So, yeah, we took him there. And the first thing he did was scan for a microchip. And he did have one, but it wasn't registered, was it?
No, it was just like a string of numbers, but... apparently, yeah. Well, it was actually, they managed to trace it back to some sort of dodgy vet.
He found the batch number and then looked up the batch number online, and then was able to sort of work out that batch of microchips had been issued around November 2015, which kind of was able to date the dog as being roughly 18 months old. Mm-hmm. So that was one thing, but then whoever the owner was hadn't registered it. So we asked what he was going to do, and he said, well, I'll just give him a painkiller or something, and then we'll have to call the RSPCA in the morning, and either they'll take him and either his leg will be amputated or he'll be put to sleep, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what he said, and we thought, oh no, I mean... we can't let that happen. Poor dog.
We didn't even talk about it, did we? We just sort of looked at each other, and I think we knew what the other one was thinking. This is where I find out whether that was actually true or not. But I kind of just felt you knew what I was thinking at very least. Because my immediate thought was, no way in hell am I just going to let this dog potentially be put to sleep.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't want that to happen, and definitely not... cutting his leg either. I mean, I think that's awful. So anyway, on the next day, since nobody claimed in and the chip was a dead end basically, because the vet was no longer registered, so we pay for, I think it was an X-ray, and yeah, so he had a really bad fracture.
Well, we had to be quite forceful with him. I literally had to say to him, we take responsibility for this dog until we can trace his owners.
Yeah.
So please go ahead. We are ordering the X-ray. Do not give him to the RSPCA. Do not put him to sleep. Do not chop his leg off.
Yeah.
Right? Please, can you get the X-rays done in the morning? We hereby take responsibility for any associated costs. Like, really, we had to get that message home. Otherwise, Lord knows what would have happened. So, we start our course at River Cottage. We had 4 days of cooking and learning how to do all sorts of things. And I'll be honest with you, I can barely remember a single thing from those 4 days, because it then just kicked off a 4-day, it was anguish, basically, constantly checking on what was going on and so on. But yeah, anyway, the X-rays came back, showed that he had a break in a couple places.
It was more like a really bad fracture with displacement and really close to the knee. So, like, really difficult to fix, basically. And they offer sort of, they found somebody that does kind of like something, although it wasn't really proper hospital specialist advice, was sort of surgery level, was somebody that comes to the practice. Can't remember.
Yeah, me neither.
But they did an emergency surgery.
And they put a pin through it.
Pin through it, but it was a pin inside the bone on the hollow part and coming out through his hip.
Yeah. So if you imagine if you look at your leg right now, and you go just above the knee, and imagine that was broken. So what the surgeon did is basically put a pin in from the hip right the way through to basically try and hold the broken part of the upper leg to the knee. And then we had a fight basically after. So obviously his surgery, that was surgery number 1, which I think must have been around $2,500, something like that.
A fair bit of money, yeah.
It was about $2,500. And then, so we got 2 or 3 days left of this course. So all we're doing is basically we're on the phone constantly to the animal hospital, trying to manage this. Then we're doing our course. In between breaks on the course, we're on the phone to the animal hospital. At the same time, I was on social media trying to trace his owners. In hindsight, I don't know why I even bothered, because obviously whoever abandoned him and thrown him out of a car or whatever didn't deserve to be reunited with him. And then when it became clear that we weren't going to find his owners, then we basically had to get him back to London.
Yeah, but that was also another problem, because the dog officially had no owner, then the RSPCA had to sign it off to us. So we had to demonstrate that we were worthy of taking this dog home. Never mind the fact that we had already paid for one massive orthopedic surgery and all the stay in the vet hospital and everything. But yeah, it all became really complicated.
Yeah, because it was like, well, kind of RSPCA doesn't really want to take responsibility for it because they don't have the money to sort out what he needs. So we step in to do the surgery because obviously this poor animal's in pain. So something needs to be done now. So we don't hesitate. We basically say, right, whatever needs to be done, just do it. We'll pay for it. And then once we paid for it, then all of a sudden people were stepping forward because it wasn't just the RSPCA. It was also this local dog kennel owner who was after him as well, who'd seen the story on social media and basically was trying to claim that he would be better off with her at her kennels rather than going back to London with us. So all of that was going on as well.
Yeah, it was all... Yeah, so basically we had to just put a few fights to try and get this dog back with us.
The other thing is that we were told he was going to need 24/7 care. Like he was going to have to be crated.
Yeah, that's right.
He was obviously on medication and painkillers and stuff for a while, and he was going to need to be crated for a good 4 to 6 months. I mean, you imagine. So we've got a dog he never lived outside either because he literally was just shitting and pissing wherever he felt like it. He wasn't like there was no decorum with this animal whatsoever.
Oh, yeah, poor thing. But maybe, I don't know, I'd like to think that it's because he was in a lot of pain and he just, like, let go every time we came to see him at the vet. I don't know. But anyway, so we managed to get the RSPCA to sign off this dog onto us and we gave him a name. I named him Bailey.
Yeah, why did you name him Bailey?
I don't know.
Just because that film we saw with Dennis Quaid with the dog.
Oh, yeah.
A Dog's Purpose or Dog's Journey or whatever. And the dog in that was called Bailey. Remember? Bailey.
Well, but it suited him anyway.
It did.
So, so then he got his name and then he became ours. And then we brought him to London. And that was another story because we have cats and especially we have a Bengal cat.
Who is a complete psychopath.
Her name is Jessie, and she hated Bailey from the very first day. She became his arch enemy to this day. one could say.
No,
I think
not now.
Not now, but still she can be,
Yeah, but she can be a bitch to everyone.
Yeah,
she does it to you and me as well.
She's a Bengal cat, so that's part of her personality. But I think she hated him for a good 1 or 2 years.
Yeah, but they all did. So Emily, our Cavachon, who thinks she's the alpha in the house. Obviously she couldn't stand him because there was this new dog that was getting all our attention. And then both our cats couldn't stand him because he's a dog, basically. I mean, the poor thing wasn't going anywhere. He was locked up in a flipping cage. Like, he wasn't allowed out because obviously he had to go through that initial healing process. And then his physiotherapy session started. And this is where we get into the murky world of vets and just what a maze that is, trying to find people that you can trust in that world, because everybody's looking to make a quick buck. And no better place to do it than when you've got 2 worried animal parents and a distressed animal. But so he started physiotherapy with our local vets at the time, and they were taking x-rays as well, all of which we were being charged for, and they weren't cheap. Like an x-ray on a dog, like every single time, 500 quid. Yeah, just 500 quid.
For 5 minutes.
But they weren't showing us the x-rays. And I was really worried because he didn't show... I mean, we're now a month or 2 later and he wasn't showing any signs of improving.
No, in fact, at the beginning, he was bending the leg. And then all of a sudden, one day he stopped. And you could tell he was in a lot of pain again. And that's when I started to suspect something had gone wrong. But like we were saying, they were taking x-rays, but they weren't really telling us what was happening. So then eventually one day I kind of, I asked for the x-rays and confronted them. I said that his leg is gone all stiff and that seems to be a reaction to pain. So I would like to understand what is happening. So when they gave me the x-rays, I find out that the fracture is separated again. Basically, the surgery had failed. And the 2 strings of bone were basically straddling and moving.
So basically his leg was still broken after 2 months.
So the leg was still broken, very much broken. So we then needed to get Bailey referred to what is called a dog hospital, or the referral centers as they are called. And they were trying to send us someplace really far from London. And then in the end I said, I heard good things about this other place in North London, so we just want to go there. So we took Bailey there, and so that sort of changed everything for him. Hopefully for the
it was the Davies Animal Hospital up in Bedfordshire, north of London.
North of London, not in North London.
So still a bit of a drive, but I think the head surgeon there had trained with Noel Fitzpatrick of Fitzpatrick Referrals from, you'll know Noel Fitzpatrick from the Super Vet on Channel 4, I think it is. So basically we had the consult and it was decided that obviously the operation that was done to insert a pin needed to be reversed, and so he needed to have operation number 2, reverse the first surgery, and then operation number 3 happened pretty much straight away, which was go back in there, and they created like a hockey stick shaped metal plate, and then that was bolted onto the outside of the leg to basically hold everything in place. And then the poor dog was then going to have to be in a crate for another 6 months. So 8 months total in a crate, just insane. But and then he was going to need to start physio and hydrotherapy. So the physiotherapy, because by now we're now into, because the operation 2 and 3 was about 6,500.
Oh yeah, that was a fortune.
Yeah, then we had the hydrotherapy sessions, which I can't remember, 120 a time or something.
Probably,
I'm not sure.
I honestly can't remember.
But yeah, by this stage we're in like the best part of 10,000 quid on this dog.
Yeah.
But what could we do? But that operation was a success, and we got him back home, and then he was crated again, and then the wars between cats and other dog continued.
Yeah, and I had to do physio on him, remember?
Yeah.
My job was to 2 or 3 times a day, take his little leg and bend it with my hands, just to make sure that he wasn't going to lose range of movement. And eventually I managed to get the full 180 degrees that I'm very proud of. Even the vet was very surprised and the physiotherapist, so I did it all by myself. So yeah, now he's got full range of movement and he can run and do all sorts of things. So
yeah, he's 4 years on, he's living a absolutely normal, happy, healthy life. But I mean, looking back, it was such a stressful time. I mean, we didn't have. I think at one point it got so stressful that we said, look, we just can't cope. It's too much. We were moving house around the time that we found him. We were obviously trying to run our own business as well. We've already got 3 animals, so throwing this one into the mix, it was like putting a grenade in the house. It was absolute all-out animal war. Then, on top of it, every single time we took him out of the cage to do physiotherapy and so on, I mean, he was just a shitting and peeing machine. And he wouldn't even wait until he got outside. And it's not his fault in hindsight, but I don't think he was...
I don't think he had lived inside a house before.
Well, do you remember, taking him into hospital?
Yeah, it was the same.
Remember the time we went and the automatic doors opened? So basically, we parked the car... And because it's sort of up in Bedfordshire, is surrounded by lots of farmland. So we'll park the car by the grass and then take him onto the grass so that he could get whatever it was he needed to out of his system to save us the embarrassment of what he was going to do anyway, which was basically up those little steps, automatic doors would open, and literally he would sit on the threshold and then crouch in that sort of hobbled sort of way that he does when he's going to take a massive dump. And then he would just either pee or he would just unload right on that threshold where you've got the receptionist sitting directly in front and then the cat and the dog waiting areas full of people just looking at us. And I know they didn't really make much of a big deal. They just came and helped to clear it up. But still, it was just mortifying for us. Because people are looking at us, they don't know the story, they don't know he's not actually our dog, we just found him and we're just trying to do right by this creature. But, people were looking at us really judgmental, haven't you trained this thing?
Yeah, it's true, actually.
Until he could be uncrated, it was impossible to train him anyway, because he just needed to kind of get past that stage and get through healing. And then when we were able to actually start walking him gradually, then the training could begin. But once we managed to get through all of that, I mean, we couldn't find anyone to take him anyway. And I think it was partly because they didn't want to take this dog on with his problems. And partly it was us as well, not trusting people. Because you remember that time we needed to take a break after a few months of this. So we went away for 3 or 4 days.
Oh, yeah.
And then he went with his regular, the local dog sitter that we had at the time. And that was the moment we realised when we got back. So she was given strict instructions, he's not allowed out of the crate. You can take him out into the garden maybe 3 times a day for just a very, very short walk. So he gets a little bit of exercise. But other than that, he's got to stay in the crate and he's got to be sort of protected. And then I think she'd had maybe 5 or 6 dogs boarding at the same time, and one of them was that massive black poodle. You remember the one that was
the horrible poodle.
The one that was trying to shag Emily every 5 seconds.
Yes.
So when we went to pick him up, pick Emily up, his crate was disgusting and he stank because I think that black poodle
was peeing on him.
Was just constantly
did everything on him,
and she did nothing to stop it.
Yeah, poor Bailey had to put up with it.
He was traumatized.
So you just never know what happens with dog sitters.
Exactly.
That's exactly the moral of the story. You have to find someone that you can trust. Or cares about the dogs.
Yeah. So I think from that moment we realised that we would just have to suck it and just take 100% responsibility for him. And
but he stayed with us, and now we know a wonderful dog sitter. that loves them very much. So,
Yeah, it all worked out fine in the end.
Eventually, you find the right people.
Yeah. So, I guess we don't know how many problems he's going to have with that leg when later in life. He's now, he'll be 6 in November, roughly. Again, we don't know obviously exactly when he was born, but we've sort of just kind of taken his birthday from when the
chip went live.
The microchip went live, yeah, exactly, when it was bought by whatever dodgy horse doctor down in Yeovil was, involved in this kind of breeding cartel down there with the travellers and the farmers. Anyone from Yeovil that's listening, I really don't care if I'm offending anyone down there, seriously. You guys live on another planet. The attitude towards animals down there is just heartbreaking, really. So yeah, but no, he's great. He's now, all 4 of them do get on. They're all united in their love of food. So 3 times a day, they're best friends. He's got quite a personality. His favourite thing is when he gets in the car to go to the heath. So he gets very excited about that, don't you? Yes. And he likes having his belly rubbed. And what else? He hates foxes and he hates all other cats, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And he thinks he would like to catch birds and stuff, but he's not very good at that, you see. It's a bit of a disaster.
Apparently that's a typical Cocker Spaniel thing. Yeah. So we took him just this winter, actually. It was really cold. We took him to another part of the heath that we hadn't explored, and there were 2 big sort of lake pond things, and they had ducks in them. And so Bailey all of a sudden caught sight of a pair of ducks and decided he was going to go after them. So he jumped straight into the water, went after these 2 ducks, but then out of the corner of his eye, he must have seen another pair of ducks. And so he basically stopped chasing after duck. Let's call them, 1 and 2, and went after 3 and 4. Yeah. So he sort of was swimming towards the middle of this pond, and then he caught sight of the other ones to his right, and then he just stopped what he was doing and then made a beeline for the other ones, and then he saw another 2 to his left, so he stopped that one and then went after another one, and basically the end result was half an hour of him in freezing cold water,
changing direction like a crazy dog because he couldn't concentrate on one duck.
Yeah.
He just had to, tag, the other way, tag, oh no, tag. He changed ponds as well because he thought there would be better ducks in the other pond.
Yeah, he changed ponds.
Yeah, so it was a complete disaster. But anyway, at some point we realized he was tired, right? And the way he was moving in the water, it really slowed down. But in his head, he was still going after the ducks, but he nearly drowned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we managed to fish him out, and then rushed him to the car. He was absolutely freezing. I thought he was gonna, die of hypothermia or whatever. Got him home, managed to get him into a hot shower, and then literally as soon as the tap was turned off and he was wrapped up in a towel, because that's what he loves. He loves having showers because it means he gets a lot of what he thinks is attention, which is us drying him with the towel. He was absolutely 100% fine again. It's back to his normal self. Yeah. So yeah, he's very much
a crazy dog.
A crazy dog, yeah. But he loves company and he loves being touched and cuddled and fussed over. And he does love bath time as well. Anyone who's in the shower, he will literally headbutt the bathroom door.
And like Emily the Cavachon, who hates water.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you say to Emily, shower time or bath time, she will just literally run and hide under the bed because she hates it.
Yeah, exactly. Like last time when she needed to go in the bath, as soon as I switched it on, I couldn't find her anywhere. I thought she'd legged it out of the house and she was hiding in a bush in the back of the garden. But yeah, Bailey is not like that at all. He's really, really good. So yeah, we've got no regrets at all, have we?
No, he's a lovely dog. Yeah. I always wanted a cocker when I was a child, and my luck, I've got one now.
There you go. And he is the one that gets the most attention when we're out and about. Like Emily, people don't really look at her twice, although she is very cute and beautiful. But Bailey's the one that gets all the, oh, look at that dog, oh, look at that brown dog. I've never understood that.
Yeah, because it's not a city dog. That's why. Look, so you see all the designer dogs in London, like the Cavachons and Cavapoodles and all these things, Maltese and stuff. But real working cockers, we haven't really seen that many, I think. So
yeah,
that's probably why.
Yeah.
You're a different looking dog, not a city dog.
But he knows it, don't you? Oh, he's looking at me weird like that now. Yeah, he does know it. But it's interesting because your mum and dad really not into animals, are they?
No, well, I always wanted to have a dog when I was little. I had a lot of health problems growing up, and I was very lonely, and I really, really wanted a dog, but they wouldn't let me. So we've got dogs now. Not entirely sure that my parents approved, even though we're complete adult and independent. But hey, at least finally I get to live with dogs.
Yeah, well, you get to live in a practical zoo. I always ask myself the question that if we came across another abandoned dog, or cat, would we do it again? But I don't think. I mean, we can sort of sharpen, take a breath, and think about it now. But I think if we found ourselves in that situation, like there was a situation recently where you called me because you were on the way back from yoga or whatever, and there was a labradoodle or something that was sort of wandering around malnourished and looked like it was going to get run over, and unfortunately you didn't manage to keep sight of that dog due to some unhelpful security guards. But see, I was on my way when you called me to try and help, and at the same time I was already running through in my brain like how we were going to integrate this dog into our household, because I was like, we're going to get a third dog today.
I think there is no space for more dogs and cats here.
Yeah,
definitely full in this house. But yeah, I mean, obviously we were trying to help.
Sorry, that moment's pause was just because Jessie the Bengal is by the patio door, and Bailey's basically just gone up and given her a little sniff and a kiss. So, but that is because it is just after 6:00 and they all want their dinner, so they tend to be...
They're best friends right now.
Yeah, when it's dinner time, they're absolutely best friends and completely 100% united.
United against us.
Yeah,
Give us food.
But they're all rejects. So we've got our oldest cat, Frankie, and he was practically rescued from a bad situation with his sister, Pixie, who sadly is no longer with us. And then Bailey, obviously, who we've just been talking about. He's a rescue. And then the two girls, so Jessie the Bengal cat, she wasn't really a rescue, but she was the one in the litter that nobody wanted. Why is that?
Because she's very clumsy.
She's the clumsiest freaking cat I've seen in my life.
The first day I saw her, when I went to see her, she was actually falling down the stairs. Because Bengal cats, they can be quite acrobatic and have no fear. And Jessie takes it to another level, which means basically can't be bothered taking a jump, so she will fall, or she will roll down the stairs. But it's fine. It's not like she's got a problem. It's just like she's excessively confident with herself, and she falls many times, but she's fine.
No, the funniest one is when she goes to jump on the kitchen tower, and I think it's because in her head, on the kitchen counter, in her head, she knows that she can do it, but it's almost like it's that overconfidence mixed with not being bothered or something. I don't know what it is, but then she'll sort of do this half jump and completely miss. And then sometimes I have to pick her up and stick her there.
But when she wants, she can take the tallest jump.
Oh, amazing jumps.
We've seen her doing things that are worthy of cat documentary, basically.
Although sometimes you'll just be sort of going about your business in the house and you'll think where all four of them are, and then all of a sudden, like, you'll open the fridge and her head pops out from top, or pops out from the top of the flipping boiler cupboard or something, and scares the absolute living shit out of you. So, never a dull moment when she's around. And then Emily was a reject, but we're actually the ones that rejected her. So she was her and her sister were the last two pups in the litter. I think they were a litter of 6, because there was like three girls, 3 boys. And basically Emily and her sister were the 2 that were left. And so we were put in the pen with them and basically, told just to hang out with them and see which one you want and blah, blah, blah. And one of them was really sweet, very affectionate. And the other one was just a complete little cow. Like, she was bitey.
She was stealing the toys from the other one.
Yeah, she was nicking. She was
growling.
Yeah.
And imagine a 2-month-old tiny little dog already growling. I mean, It's quite unbelievable.
I know. She was just this little scrap that would fit in the palm of your hand, and she was just being a right little cow. And you're right. She was taking the other one's toys away, because we were sort of getting the toys and playing with the other one, and this one, she had enough toys of her own on the other side of the pen, and she was coming over to our side of the pen, and then I would try and stroke her, and she'd just bite my hands, and then she'd take the toy and run off to the other side. So when they came back in and said, what do you think? We were like, well, we'll go for this one because she's really sweet and we're really not connecting with the other one. And then so that was that. So the breeder was in Wales. We were in London, obviously. So we had to go back a week later, pick the puppy up. And then on the way back, I think it was when we got past Reading, we both didn't say anything to each other, but we both realised at the moment we picked the thing up. And I said to you, babe, I don't think this is the dog that we actually reserved. This is the other one.
Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I knew it.
So we ended up with a stupid little cow.
So we ended up with the bitey dog, the barky dog, center of the world dog.
Exactly,
Emily.
which she is to
Her
this
Majesty
day.
Emily.
Yeah,
basically.
But we love her very much. And it's funny because, people who say animals are animals. Yeah. Sorry, we're just they're all playing up now. So Jessie's just gone outside and she's making faces from her little house. Oi, pack it in. So people say animals are animals. They have, some people just view animals as being dumb creatures or whatever, but they have thoughts, they have feelings. Emily's proof that they develop a personality in their formative weeks.
Yeah, definitely proof of that.
She'll do it to this day. You'll see Bailey really distressed and upset, and then usually the answer is because Emily is in his crate, basically taking his stash, like going through his things and taking things away from him and stuff. So she definitely thinks that she rules the roost. But
she does.
yeah, exactly. I really, really hope that one day, if we have a bigger place, that we can add more animals. What? Why are you shaking your head?
Because 4 is already a full house.
I know, but if I come across an animal that needs help.
What will help you? Yeah, we will help.
But what?
Well, we already have a full house.
Yeah, but I can't. If it was another animal that was in Bailey's situation,
I will definitely help.
Yeah, and keep it.
I don't know.
We're gonna have that debate.
Yes.
So look, we really wanted to just finish off season 2 because it coincided with Bailey's anniversary. Just talking about this amazing, wonderful dog who never leaves our side. Because we just felt it was a story that needed to be told, really. But Carolina will be back in season 3. We will get on to some talk about menswear and women's wear and tailoring in general. If that's all right.
Yeah.
It wasn't too difficult, was it?
No, it was okay.
She's gone very shy. That's it for another week. As always, if you're liking the show, please give us some feedback in the form of a rating and a review. It really helps new listeners find the show, helps us to grow, and who knows, you might just encourage a new listener who may really need us at this time in their life. Also remember, sharing is caring, and Tailoring Talk is a show where my guest and I share stories with a goal to help people and make the world a better place. So do share us with your family, friends and colleagues. Take care, be good to each other, and I can't wait for you to join me on the next one.